I basically have a narrative. So through the year, I call it a series or a chapter. Each event is a narrative for what we're doing around the world. So, for example, Palm Beach. So we're doing an event around the Palm Beach boat show, and that's more about the blue economy. So there's amazing projects that are happening that many are not aware of, and they need obviously some education on what's happening, some awareness. So at these gatherings, I bring a narrative about helping the economy and as well as the ocean. So the Palm Beach is all about the ocean economy. We're bringing all these projects from different founders. These could be in AI, they could be infrastructure, could be Internet of Things, could be building bridges, and what technologies are happening. So we're actually bringing this to bring a narrative, and we're bringing in investors, family offices, and sovereign wealth managers and principals to come in and talk about, obviously, what's happening, where they can.
Welcome to the Yacht Captain Investor Podcast. I'm your host, Scott Kidd, where every week we dive deep into conversations with real estate pros, business owners, and maritime professionals about their mindset and journey to success. Please help support us on our journey and our channel by liking, subscribing, and commenting below so we can help you in your journey to success. How you doing today? Scott Kidd, the Yacht Captain Investor Podcast. I have my friend Wasim Aslam here today. We met recently at an event that he was helping put together. He went basically from sailing to become a creative architect, building elite events and aligning impact founders and investing through community. How you doing today, Wasim?
Oh, Scott, I'm doing amazing. Thank you again for having me here. I really appreciate it, and I'm very excited. Thanks.
Well, great. For people that don't know you, and just tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got to where you are, from your sailing to strategy.
Yeah, so I'm from London, England, and originally I was born in Yorkshire. And I've come from a very creative background. So I came from an art background. I was a graphic designer, and I did a lot of drawings and designing things, which I really absolutely love. I spent 10 years designing for broadcasting, media and advertising. I've also spent much longer at the BBC designing, branding their programs and different visuals. And then I really got more into sailing because that was more of a hobby. So I have my, what do I call it? We call it a day skipper. So I have my skipping license, which I can actually, take the yacht outside, and which I could take offshore, which is nice. And then that really brought me a lot of trust. Like, obviously sailing, we know it's an amazing sport. It builds a lot of trust. It is difficult. It's hard. You have to think a lot. I just like being on the ocean as well. And I think it really helps me to kind of be who I am, the adventure type of person. And that led me to do some more sailing, but also network, which I think is very crucial. And then that network obviously brought me to doing things that I'm doing today. And then what I'm doing today, I link that with the adventure type of thing. So obviously some of my events that I do sailing, and I give these sailing experiences to other people. Could be, different entrepreneurs, CEOs and founders, and we all get together to do amazing things and adventures. So I run my own private members club. I'm CEO and founder of Artemis Privier, which is fairly new, but I've been doing other events before that. But this led me to actually create a bigger impact and get more into doing things that I really like to do. And elements of the creativity I do bring in. So this is me bringing my branding skills, designing things into curating these, elite gatherings, for example. Yeah.
Well, that's really great. I know sailing has definitely built a lot of character in our line of in our line of work on the yachts and everything. I know doing some sailing background, that's how we made that connection and everything else. It does, there's you find out who you really are a lot of times when things get really bad on the sailboat, and you find out who everyone else is as well. It builds character, and it keeps everyone honest, because at a certain point you really have to do what you have to do. And becoming a creative architect, what does that really mean?
So this is the thing. I should thank my mentor and coach, and her name is Amanda Frolich, and she really does help others really well. And she has this program about branding, and she said to me, "Wasim, you need a fame name, right? So the fame names are really important. That could be just 3-letter words." And we were doing this exercise. So I went to Amanda's event about branding, how to really brand yourself. Mm-hmm. And we went through this exercise of what you like doing, what things are you interested in, what things are you good at, what's your passion, right? So when all this, it was about an hour-long session, like a workshop. And then at the end, what I came up with, depending on what stuff I like to do, was she said, "Look, you are the creative architect." So I said, "Okay, that's great." And because now I'm a creative architect where I build these amazing experiences for founders, CEOs in elite gatherings. So I do creation of these events. So that's kind of why that became quite the creative architect, because I'm helping other people to build these amazing events. So and I do believe that's really important. It's really nice to have one. So whenever people see that, they're like, "Wow, that's very interesting. What is that?" So glad you asked that.
Yeah. Well, I found it very intriguing, and I think it was definitely the conversation starter where you say a creative architect, and it does help with your branding, because that is exactly what you do, and that's pretty cool, because you basically design all these elite rooms and stuff, and these experiences and stuff, and what helps you in that way, like put together an event? Is there usually some type of theme, or is there some type of experience that you like over others, or is it the feedback that you get from certain events?
All right, very good question. Yeah. So I basically have a narrative. So through the year, I call it a series or a chapter. Each event is a narrative for what we're doing around the world. So, for example, Palm Beach. So we're doing an event around the Palm Beach boat show, and that's more about the blue economy. So there's amazing projects that are happening that many are not aware of, and they need obviously some education on what's happening, some awareness. So at these gatherings, I bring a narrative about helping the economy and as well as the ocean. So the Palm Beach is all about the ocean economy. We're bringing all these projects from different founders. These could be in AI, they could be infrastructure, could be Internet of Things, could be building bridges, and what technologies are happening. So we're actually bringing this to bring a narrative, and we're bringing in investors, family offices, and sovereign wealth managers and principals to come in and talk about
Blueprint, the passive investor due diligence checklist. You found a deal, the returns look great. But before you wire a single dollar, do you know what you're really investing in? Most passive investors skip the hard questions. No PPM review, no sponsor vetting, no exit strategy. They hope for the best. Blueprint fixes that. For pillars of protection, 87 plus vetting questions, a live scoring dashboard that gives you an instant verdict. Invest, caution, or avoid. Work through each tab. Note your red flags. Review your score. Decide with confidence, not gut feeling.
Talk about obviously what's happening, where they can actually look into investing these amazing projects. So that's kind of where I'm building these narratives. And then we're doing Miami after that, and Miami's all about AI and tech. So I'm bringing a narrative about AI and tech, so awareness on the technology that's happening in AI, which is very important, and what we could do in terms of helping the economy. And that could be specifically Miami. How do we make Miami better with the tech that we're bringing in with the projects? So I'm doing all the hard work, which is aligning these projects and deals to come in so they can have a platform to pitch in front of other investors and family offices, so they could obviously raise capital, but also bring awareness to the country and people around them. And these are very small, intimate events. They're not like big conferences. They're maximum 40 to 50 people, and we're keeping it very concise. So my job is basically to have the right people there that can link and connect with the right people. So you know who they are, it's intimate, and it's curated in a really great environment. Yeah.
Well, that's really great, because it seems to be like a definitely it's a quality over quantity type thing. And those are the events I really like and I thrive at because I get a chance to actually meet and you make genuine connections. Like the event that we met at, it was a very intimate setting, and we all got to know each other over the 3 days. It was some really good connections. Actually, there was other people that I saw at other events, and other people that I'm having on my podcast and stuff like that. And what would you say are some of the qualifiers that you have for people getting access to some of your events? Like, what are some non-negotiables for you?
I think generally, if they're bringing in, like, it's not just about their capital, but their knowledge, it's got to align with the projects, for example, it's got to align with what's happening. So I tend to link people with their vast knowledge of what they've created, because at my events, they could be great for panels, right? So we want to give value. So basically, I look into those that can actually bring in value, and they could actually educate our guests, in terms of what's happening. So I tend to look at individuals. Again, for yourself, I thought there was some great line, because I know someone said that kind of he's a sailor, he's a yacht, he's into yachts, and I said, oh yeah, I'll connect with him. So that's kind of the alignment where I saw, hey, you'd be perfect for Palm Beach, because you could also educate our guests not just about yachts and sailing, but also with what you're doing with obviously real estate and everything. So I do feel there's a really good alignment there, because there's many things that I don't know about real estate and others at the event. So it could be some really good alignment with your expertise. So those are the ones that I kind of link together. And they don't need to have the best capital in the world, but it does help. But yeah, the knowledge is the experience is the most important.
Yeah, it seems like your focus is people that more, not necessarily the capital, but more that people have an impact, or they're very impact driven. Would you say that was something that you focus on, like people that have an impact or have a very forward thinking in making a difference, not just about the money?
Yeah, it's not, but it's the impact. Yeah, I think their backgrounds and what they're into, the things that they've had, the experience, I think that's very important. And I tend to, like, for all the events that I'm doing, there's different alignments in different places. So I can't just bring everyone into one place. It's got to link with what the alignment is. So for Palm Beach, we're looking into blue ocean economy projects, which technically is a $3 trillion industry. And then we're looking at other things around the world. So obviously you can talk about Vegas, and then we can talk about Singapore, with the financial hub. So we'll bring in more financial projects in there. And then in the UK, I've got a few. This is a great thing. In the UK, I'm doing more sailing stuff. So last year I did a Sail GP event, and I don't know if your audiences know a lot about Jet Sail GP, but obviously it's that Formula One type of race with yachts, which is amazing. So we do an event around there, and we're doing one this year again at Portsmouth. And that's where I learned my sailing, by the way. And it's the most difficult place to learn sailing, by the way, in the South Sea of England. It's not easy.
Yes.
Southampton and all that. Yeah, it's very challenging, and we do get some really heavy tides. So yeah, and we're doing it. We're also doing Sail GP, and then we've got another event called Cows Week. So Cows Week is a prestigious race, regatta race, that happens, and you're racing from, I think it's from Southampton all the way to Isle of Wight. And it's an amazing race that happens every year. But this year it's very important because it's a 200-year anniversary. And I'm going to put together a race with 2 yachts. We're going to get 2 teams, and we're just going to race around and hopefully raise money for charity. We'll get some more partners and sponsors involved into that. And we're going to have this amazing race, which is I think it's in mid-August or beginning of August. It's a whole week of racing, and it's quite exciting. And I love people to tune in or get together there. So in the UK, we're doing a lot more sailing things. So I'd love to involve more people into that. Yeah.
Well, that sounds very, very, very interesting. I mean, it's definitely something I would encourage people to check out, because I love sailing and stuff, and I've never really gotten much into the racing a lot, but I like watching the sailboat races, especially when we go to Newport and stuff. You can watch the races from
Yeah.
Castle Hill or further out there. You see the starts and stuff. And we used to the first people I worked for, they supported a lot of charity races and stuff when we would go out and be support boats and stuff like that. It was a lot of fun, you know. It's something that I know that putting worlds together, and you're saying the blue ocean economy is such a $3 trillion. There's a lot of things that we can do that have an impact. And it's not just about capital. That
Mhm.
impact and I would say, where do you get some of your inspiration from for this? I know the sailing and stuff, and obviously you have a very creative background. It's because it's people ask me all the time, like, what's the how do these things go
Right.
together, yachts and real estate?
Yeah, that's a good combination.
Yeah, generally when you find real estate and you're on a yacht, it's a bad day.
True. Yeah. Yeah. I, where where I find my inspiration. So I love engineering. So this is the thing. I because I've come from a background of drawings and becoming a graphic designer, right? A creative. Now it's the opposite. I'm more into the engineering. I wish I became an engineer. I keep thinking I'm so good with like building things now. So
Yeah.
I should have just learned more about engineering myself. But now I'm into that. Hence why Formula One is also part of our
Uh,
events, right? So we're talking about technologies, and usually Formula One tend to be the first into having the technologies first, and then they branching that out. Because if you think about power steering, where did that come from?
Most investors don't know where they stand. Introducing Invest with Scott Kidd. Get your personalized investment readiness score. Multifamily real estate builds wealth through cash flow. You'll receive your readiness score, a personalized strategy. Join over 500 investors. Discover if you're ready. Start your free assessment today.
Where did that come from? If you think about the brake systems, what's the anti-lock brake systems? They're all come from Formula
that
One.
came from racing. Yeah, and truth
Yeah,
truth be told, a lot of the high speed stuff and water stuff came from sailing and stuff. All the hydrodynamics and stuff like that
yeah,
came, and even a lot of the
carbon fiber.
rules and regulations for aviation are built off sailing, with
Yeah,
platform, lights and everything.
that's
All the communication and stuff is similar, but a lot of times people think that engineering and stuff like that is not a creative position, but you have to have a very creative mind to be an engineer, especially, what I find a lot of, especially on the boats and just in other, like when you're in development and stuff, you have to be able to solve problems, and it takes a very creative mind. It's not just cut and dry this or that. It's really, well, we have to make this work because everyone's riding on this project to get done. So, I can relate to that because I've always been very good at solving puzzles and solving problems. And I can see that in you too, because you get excited about the creative part and putting things together. But I would say what's lacking a lot of times is, and it has been for a long time, is when somebody gets out of school and learns engineering or a certain trade, they don't have the practical application, whereas you have the real world experience. You know how it applies to your events, and you're able to read, like, well, this person's doing this project, we need to put them together with this one because their their um their projects and their capital and their mantras align. So then we need to put them together, and there's where I can see where the curated events come from. And I
mhm.
you know so what how did you come up with the yachts and the boat show and the Formula One strategy?
Good question. Kind of just did it. I think I was already going to these places. Like I love Formula One, then I love yacht racing, and then I love the technology that goes around it. And I just thought maybe I just create events around here because I know what projects I could bring in. For example, at Palm Beach, I've got about 8 different projects that I'm bringing in from founders. and they're all like really amazing. So one of them is a they're called Scrub Marine. Look them up, Scrub Marine. They're very interesting projects. So they've built a robot device that scans vessels, basically, like huge. It can scan huge vessels, cruise ships, and everything. And it's an amazing device that it can. I think they're used by remote control, and it can go around vessels. And they're going to demonstrate that at our event in Palm Beach with the yacht we're going to be on. So we're going to have a yacht, and we're going to demonstrate some few projects from our founders, which are all about economy, and then data analytics. That's really important. Obviously, one that scan things across the ocean, and then there's a device, nanotechnology device that actually cleans water, and that produces clean. It takes out all the bad minerals. So it's little things like that that could make an impact. But it'll be interesting to show this. So I'm really investing, and I'm putting money into this to bring them across to demonstrate, do demos. So actually, people like yourself can, and the yacht marine industry can actually see actual products that are happening, because these founders don't really get that opportunity to really pitch in front of people. And I think that this is exactly why I do the gathering. So we get the right platform in front of the right people. So it is a marketing platform. So technically mine is a technical advertising marketing platform, but I just curate the right people that can see the right products at the right time. Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. And I would say a lot of times the people that are the expert or the founders are not the best people to explain something, because they're very passionate about it. And a lot of times they can't put it in simple terms that we can all think about, because we've all been to those pitches where the guy goes, the guy or lady is very into it, and they're just telling you all about it, and they're going to these minute details and stuff, and after a couple of minutes you've lost everyone because you have no idea what they're talking about. And I've seen that at a lot of conferences but a lot of times it is just one or two people that are the founders that are really grinding to make things work. And I think there's where you making the connection with people, where the people get to know each other a little bit before they come on and talk about their products and stuff. It's not necessarily a hard pitch or anything. It's more really making those connections, those relationships. Would you say it's more about building those relationships and getting people that kind of exposure than it is really people? Because I highly doubt that there's like things get funded right away at those things. These things always take a long time. It's a long-term game.
It does, yeah. But I'm giving that opportunity to. So it'll be pre-warm-up. So we do pre-warm-up with investors and family offices to show that, hey, we're having these projects attending the event and founders, and then I'd help the founders to do the pitches as well. So I create the content video so that they're shown at the event. So we'll do an intro video about the product, so it gives a good idea of what it is, and then they'll do an actual demo, and then they might do a 3-minute pitch. Otherwise, you're going to lose, that edge. So some guidance I do, and then making sure the investors, they're aligned with that project, so they'll know their interest as well. So and maybe pitch decks will be shown pre-event, but the main thing is that they get connected in we do kind of these deal flow roundtables sessions as well. So that's where it gets very curated, but I have to make sure that it's the right one, not just someone that's very, very early stage and they don't even have a product in hand. So pre-seed, Series A is something that I do target a lot more. But it's if it's interesting.
It seems like you curate the relationship, and you kind of pre-qualify like who's going to go next to who and stuff like that. Well, I like the idea of the 3-minute pitch and the pre-video, and you kind of giving them guidance and stuff, because a lot of times people are just kind of thrown to the wolves and thrown up there. Hey, we think that's a great product. Get up there and show your product. But this kind of, you can also stack the room and like know that, hey, you 10 guys need to come and see this presentation, because this is the one about the AI stuff or the scrubber or what have you, that you guys have yachts. One, we'd like to see what you think about it, and two, we'd like to see what applications implications you think you might have going forward. So that's really great, because a lot of times people are kind of, like I said, thrown up there, and then they don't know what to, they're kind of thrown to the wolves, so to speak, which I think is a little slightly unfair. But with this being a smaller, intimate event, I think the curated relationships are, and that's where you.
What if you could buy your first investment property in just 30 days? With a proven playbook built by a pro with 25 years in the game, it's not just possible, it's a plan. Scott Kidd's complete bundle gives you everything you need. 7 professional tools, delivered instantly. No fluff, no guesswork. Just the exact roadmap to your first property. From Yacht Captain to Managing Director of Capital Markets, Scott Kidd has navigated deals most investors only dream about. Now he's handing you his full playbook. If you're a high earner who keeps researching but never pulling the trigger, if you feel overwhelmed by the process, this was built specifically for you. Virtual walkthrough guide and the napkin deal calculator. Inside, the 30-day checklist, property locator playbook, by box builder, market scorecard, agent vetting script. And right now, free bonus access to all tools, including the portfolio investor clarity tool. Visit investwithscottkidd.com and get the bundle today. Your first property starts now.
I'm getting more of a big picture idea of you're really curating those relationships so that it's long term, so that people are not just doing a one-off kind of thing. They're really like, hey, we went to Wasim's event, and we met all these people doing some incredible things, and people are putting together some incredible deals. How do you with this said, since you're really in with a really high level people, how do you protect like the trust inside the community? What boundaries are critical for you?
That's a really good question. That's a very good question. I'm trying to create this very private. So we're a very tight knit community and members. Again, look, we all sign NDAs, and I get that, but the main thing is that we keep it in house and try to help founders and projects, but also there's others looking for other connections. For example, not everyone's looking to help raise capital, but they're looking to connect with some family offices or some VCs. So we're trying to bring those together. I'm trying to have the right kind of group. The right balance is very important to have that. But we all look. There are we sign things, so we're all helping along the way. It's not just about a one-off. I'm not all about being a broker about getting a success fee. It's more about me actually taking them further, being a part of their journey. If the project's very interesting, I want to invest more into this. So that's kind of what we do. But we also have we have a team where they're the investor advisors. We've got advisors. We've got board of advisors in different areas and different, obviously, verticals. Some are in, energy, minerals. Some are in AI and technology experts. Some are in they're in technology. I've mentioned finance. Finance, lawyers. So we have a board of advisors who are actual. Sorry, you call them attorneys, right?
Yeah,
so I just say attorneys.
Yeah, you guys call them attorneys or lawyers and barristers, right? Or
barristers. Yeah,
barristers.
That's it. So I've kept to the American as well. So this is a thing. I've got 2 bases. So people from the UK and then from the US, as well as European and UAE. So UAE is also a big thing we're bringing in because there's huge investors involved, especially in. Obviously, we have a great connection with the Saudi because Saudis are doing great things, and they're more interested in obviously aligning projects together. So at our events, I tend to bring them along, so they'll be more interested in these deals and projects, and also connecting with others. So that's their thing. And Dubai, Abu Dhabi, obviously we've got investors, family offices, all generally located there. They don't all get to come, but there's certain principles that we can bring along. And these are just ones we're just tying in together at our events and making sure there's our advisors can advise about investing, and funds of funds are deal flow allocators. They advise into that. Or I don't have a background in finance, so for me, it's been a learning curve these past years about how things work. I think 3-4 years ago, I didn't even know what a family office was. So, so I'm learning all these terms and names. I know it all sounds confusing, but someone told me, Wasim, it's actually simpler than you think.
Yeah, it is. It's
I said,
funny.
what?
Some years ago, I didn't know any of this either, even though I worked for all these people.
Right.
I don't have a background in finance either, and sometimes a lot of people to appear smart, they use a lot of terminology that is the language of whatever the profession they're using, but it's just other terms for stuff.
Well, this is perfect for what we obviously learned through sailing. So
Yeah,
that was a whole language for me,
yeah,
nautical. Oh my God. I was like, it took me a while. And I was, obviously we have theory tests. In England, it's very
yeah.
very difficult. We go through these process of just learning and I got things wrong and I get it. And I had to redo things all the time. Practical was okay. But when it came to theory, like charts, and I instead of charts, I called them maps, and they used to get they got offended.
Man, you were probably, you're lucky you didn't get thrown out immediately.
So, so I was learning all these charts. So I can really chart myself really well through a route, which is nice. I can do that on a chart very well. But the term nautical term took me a while to realize what's what and learning about everything. So yeah.
Yeah, it's the similar. Every profession has its language, and I same as you. I didn't know a lot of this terminology several years ago, but thankfully I'm a quick learner and always learning all the time, and I would see that that. Getting back to what we're discussing about, you're talking about how you're building these relationships and stuff like that. Imagine you're not transactional because you want to build that. And will some of these, like for your members and stuff, if they're not able to make it, do you provide like recordings and stuff, certain things like that for them as long as they're members and stuff like that? I would imagine that's a part of it, right?
Yeah. Oh, do you mean like general things that they don't attend, they get access to at the events? Yeah. I mean, we're working on a narrative, like we're being filmed by a company called Doc6 Films, and they're going to be doing a narrative at each of our events. So it's like a documentary about what's happening. It's not an event recording. They don't do that. It's going to be a really curated, like a story that's happening through each event, about myself, but others as well, about the stories, Blue Economy, for example, and we get to make narrative, interview others, and we make that film. We make a film throughout each event through the year. And I've got about 8 already in line all the way up until December, but there will be things in between. For example, doing some event we could do with your Yacht Captain, which is amazing. We do something around that. So these little things can tie in together. So we provide content for all of our members. We do have a general free kind of membership type of thing. We've got 3 tiers which are paid for the year, but they're different tiers. The ultimate tiers, you get private jet service, you get concierge, you get a dedicated lifestyle manager to help you obviously do things, but get geared towards our events. So everything's curated. So these experiences are curated. So I do these events where when I invite others, they don't need to worry about travel accommodations or anything. If you're a member, that's all dealt. So obviously with the lifestyle manager, they will book your plane ticket, your hotel reservations, your chauffeured access from the airport to the event. So we actually do that as well when you're a member. So that makes it so easy, because I know in the past where I invited members to the event, they were late, or they didn't get the plane right. They didn't know where it was. They didn't know how to get there. Yeah. So that takes it, I'm trying to take that stress off them.
Well, that's great, because on the yachts and stuff, we like to control the narrative as well, because if we organize from when when we're picking them up to when we drop them off, we can kind of have some control over what and where happens, and things. People don't just wander off and don't show up, and all those things. It's a little more of a controlled experience, and then that way they don't have to worry about it. And I think that's a great high level of service that you can provide for the members and stuff, because I think that's what they're looking for. And you know
Yeah.
seeing that everything you do is not is non-transactional, is building that long-term relationship. That brings me to, what is the long-term vision of your whole Artemis Privé?
So that's a good question. Again, the long-term vision I see is having a very good group of visionaries, right? With access to great capital, building great things. So I'd say after like 5 years and going forward beyond 5 years, I think I do see changes happening, like some bigger projects involvement, bigger events. Not just, when I mean bigger events, I'm talking about other things that we could actually do. And that could be more towards, let's say, aerospace, for example, stuff around space. So we can go into different verticals and do different things. So again, I do love stuff about space, and I would love to do more about space, okay, because that probably is the future. And I think having the right people, I'd see in the future doing greater things, and we're making more impact. So my goal, obviously, is to make more impact at the cities we're going through globally around the world, and making sure there's changes that we're making, not just we're doing an event and hurrah. I just want to just do, this. I'm actually connecting people in the right places, so they actually just making more impact. I see impact as a big buzzword for me. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people use that word pretty loosely, like we're having an impact, but there's really, when you look at it, there's nothing behind it. Like, they're not really, like, you have your blue ocean technologies. Obviously, that's, you're building a lot of sustainability, and that's like a huge impact, because a lot of the things that we're doing today are not sustainable. But you see things like, it used to be, oh, that's the greenies, that's this and that, or whatever but like you saw where there's a big fight between the oil companies and the environmentalists about they're using too much water. But instead of them, they were both on extremes, and somebody came up with the idea, hey, if you recycle the water, saves you billions of dollars, and you don't waste a bunch of water. It's like there's something in the middle there that we can all learn from, and it saves a lot of money. It reduces the cost of oil and stuff like that, and we all use oil. That's just one thing, and I think people need to realize that oil's not going anywhere. We can't just shut it down. Everything's made out of all the and this is just me talking here. All the stuff that's made around the world's made out of plastic, the majority of it, and that's oil. To make all the batteries, to make all the solar panels, unless we come up with something else, we're going to need it for at least to transition to something, But there's impact, and these companies can maybe help with these transitions and use what we're using right now more efficiently.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you. I'm not climate, how do you call it, climate person.
Yeah.
I do try my best to keep things sustainable. But there's a balance what's happening as well. Again, I'm not a big fan of plastics, and I try to do as much as I can with sorting plastics out. And of course, some of the project we're bringing in scans plastics, and it does all of that. But how much are you going to do? How much are we going to extract? It's a very hard number. And obviously, sea levels rising. We know sea levels are rising, but as I know you've said this before, as the Earth will live a lot longer than ourselves.
We don't need to worry about. We're not protecting the Earth. We're protecting us. Not we will die off. The Earth will be fine.
Yeah. So it's, and with the oil, and it's like I'm not like an electric. I don't even have an electric car, so I'm not the biggest fan of electric cars, for example. There's maybe hybrids cool. I think hybrids are a very good way of doing things, because if you look at Formula One now, they're a hybrid system, and so not everyone knows that, because everyone thinks they're all combustion engines. But there are 50% now, as in hybrid, and 50%, electric. So, and they get to, harvest energy, which is really crucial. And they probably have the best technology of harvesting energy through braking and gases off the turbo, for example. So that's an amazing thing that we can learn, but also apply that to different areas or verticals through the world. But I'm trying to keep things aligned with what's possible, but realistic. I know in this country we were supposed to go all electric, but that's not happening because not many people are buying electric cars.
It was very ambitious, and whether it works, the hybrids would probably, here's where we went from the extremes and we end up in the middle kind of thing, I guess. But, most big ships are diesel electric anyway, which are technically a hybrid thing anyway, and they're much more efficient, and they burn less. They travel further, and they're much more reliable, so, there's less moving parts and all that stuff. So, I see that as being something that is a definite yes, going forward. I think it's one of those things where a lot of times us humans, we go either or, yes or no, or black or white, this or that, instead of like, well, there's a whole bunch of different things. Like we should be trying all of it. And then whatever works out to be the best, we do. It's going to be a mix of all of them. There's no one solution. We can't make an overly simplistic solution to a very complex problem.
I agree. Yeah, I couldn't put it simpler. And I'm going to be also bringing in hydrogen projects, sustainable fuels. But I want to bring in that. This is the alignment with Formula One I'm doing is trying to give that awareness. How can we bring in sustainable fuels? Because they're already testing sustainable fuels and it's working. It's like having a V12 engine with sustainable fuels and it's emitting, clean air,
water
with the same noise.
Hydrogen, yeah. Well, that's going to be interesting. I look forward to checking that out. Just for everyone that wants to find out more about what, all your projects, you got some really great blue ocean stuff going on here. For everyone that wants to find out more about you and your projects, what's the best way for them to find you?
Right. Excellent. Good question again. So I've got some really good articles and podcasts on my Substack. So you just put artemisprivier.substack. And you'll see everything about the projects that are happening, what we're doing in the background, what we're creating, the upcoming events, or just go to artemisprivier.club. That's it, yeah. Or just Google me, Wasim Aslam, on LinkedIn.
I find you pretty easily on LinkedIn. Yeah. Nowadays, it's pretty hard to find, but I really appreciate you coming on and sharing all your journey and all this stuff. And I look forward to following along with the journey, not only catching up with you at these events and, doing a follow-up later on just to see how it all evolves. Thank you so much for being here.
Appreciate it, Scott. I really thank you for having me. Really appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah, it's been great. I'm Scott Kidd. Thank you all for joining. This is the Yacht Captain Investor Podcast, and as a quick reminder, the best investment you make is the one you make in yourself. So invest heavily in you. See you next time.